it's Magpie J. I'm back again with more clay art. You probably already know this, but the Five Nights at Freddy's movie recently came out after years of endless teasers and endless waiting. So today I'm making the main animatronic, Mr. Freddy Fazbear. I was very excited for this movie. I dressed up as Foxy, my boyfriend dressed up as Glamrock Freddy because we were so excited, and as I was watching this absolute cinematic masterpiece, I thought to myself, I have to make one of these guys. And who better to make than the original Freddy Fazbear himself? I started making Freddy by mixing the right shade of brown for his head and body, which took way too long, and shaped it into his head. A trick I learned from making bigger pieces and to save colors of clay is to use scrap clay as a base and layer the other colors on top of it. I did that for his head so I didn't have to use up all of the brown that I just spent forever mixing on just this one part of him. Next, I started making his face, which is the most complicated part of his design by far. His eyes had so many little details that I was determined to make out of clay instead of paint that I had to do some of it off camera, but I think they turned out better that way. They do look pretty creepy right now though. I used this thick wire for stability since he is a pretty big figure, but the nice thing about him being a robot is that it's okay if the wire shows through sometimes. I actually wanted it to come through in a few places, like the ears right here and the arms and legs. I'm making the movie version of him specifically, but I think they did a really good job of making him look exactly like the original. I think the only difference, for me at least, between the game version and the movie version of him was... Oh, one second. Sorry, I had to get the nose squeak in there. The only difference for me between the game version of him and the movie version was, I think movie Freddy somehow looked slightly nicer. Either his facial features are slightly softer, or I'm crazy, I don't know. Did any of you notice that as well? Next I put together his jaw, and for this part I made his teeth by cutting up some white squares of clay and then baking them separately before sticking them into his lower jaw. That way, I was able to line them up how I wanted them without worrying about them getting squished since they were already baked. Then I was finally done with the head and could move on to making his body. I used the same method as the head for this. I made a ball of tinfoil, wrapped some scrap clay around it, and then covered it with the brown body color. Then I made a slightly lighter brown color for his belly, which I put right in the middle. Next, I started making his legs. In the movie, the puppets could be worn as suits, so I was trying to make it kind of look like the clay pieces could be worn as pants. This meant that I had to make a waist, thighs, and knees that were the right proportions for a human to fit into. I did this by taking some wire and putting these hot dog bun looking pieces directly onto it. Like I mentioned earlier, it's actually good that some of the wire shows through on these parts since it makes him look slightly more robotic. I made 2 of those hot dog shapes and 1 diamond shape for the kneecap. Next I did an almost identical process for the arms, which was more hot dog buns and wire. Then I moved on to making his hands. His hands are slightly easier than usual since he only has 4 fingers. I basically just smushed the clay forever until it's the shape that I want it to be. I also wanted him to be holding a microphone, so I took some black and silver clay to make this oversimplified version of a microphone that I could have him holding. I had to position 3 of his fingers to be wrapped around and 1 out in place of his thumb. I went ahead and baked what I made of him so far so that I could put on some of the last details such as his shoulder pads without messing up any of the other work I did. I made his bow tie and his feet before baking him one last time. Now I get to do my favorite part, making him look old and dirty. I mean, painting him, of course. For this, I took a really diluted dark brown color and put it in random spots all over his body. I basically put mostly water with a tiny bit of brown paint and waited for that to dry before putting on a second coat. That made the paint look uneven like I was hoping, but now we have a slightly dirty bear and nowhere for him to stand. I decided that Freddy deserves better than lying around, so I got out my foam to carve a stage. Ultimately, I decided to make him his own personal Pirates Cove, and I know what you're thinking, Freddy doesn't go in Pirates Cove. I know he doesn't, but I thought Pirates Cove would be way easier to make than the main show stage and would look good in photos, so I just decided on that. Maybe one day I'll make a Foxy to take his place. I do have a confession though. I have never carved foam like this before in my entire life or painted it, so it was a learning moment for everyone. Did it turn out amazing? No. Will it get the job done? Yes, and that's what matters. I let the paint dry overnight and printed out some Pirates Cove curtain print to work on in the meantime. I added some finishing touches and Freddy was finally done. Here's a montage of clips of Freddy in all of his Fazbear glory. I want to thank everyone who decided to watch this video. It really means a lot to me, especially since a ton of work goes into making these videos. I especially want to thank my patrons, Cozy Buggo, Chris Morgan, and Mantis Mommy for your support. You guys make it possible for me to keep creating videos like this one. I also want to thank everyone in my Discord for their constant feedback and support on everything I make. I have an amazing community full of so many people, and it's so fun to see it grow like it has been lately. If you want to join any of these things, I'll have them linked in the description below. I'm currently working on a new Making Your Characters video, so if you have a character that you love and are interested in it being made in one of my videos, you can join my Discord or Patreon for that. Thank you so much again to anyone that supports me and my channel. You're all so amazing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!